The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
All right, let's make it very clear what's going on here right now at 7:46 with Brian and Kenzie on Q101. In 15 minutes, 8 o'clock, we have the first Pearl Jam tickets for Wrigley Field free for you. You're the first person in for the first time in almost 6 years. Pearl Jam back at Wrigley Field, Eddie Vedder's hometown. Let's talk about GTFO. This is his hometown, Evanston, and just up the road from Wrigley. Super big fan, of course, of the Cubs and the teams. If you saw the United Center, Chris Chelios got on stage with him. Going to do the jersey retirement next week.
He's been in almost every Pearl Jam I've seen, every show.
Yeah.
I swear.
He's always there. And that's next week, Chelios' jersey retirement, I believe.
I was looking at tickets,
When the Red Wings come with Patrick Kane.
I know. I want to go.
Well, hockey mom here, Kara, needs a date on Valentine's Day.
Who can afford those tickets? They're not cheap.
Anybody got a spare here for Kara? And also might maybe take it to a nice dinner. That'd be great.
At Ponderosa?
So 8 a.m., that's coming up, those tickets. Now, pause for a second on that. Just make sure it's coming up. You know it's coming up at 8. Right now, we're doing head-to headlines. You choose what story we talk about most in a couple minutes. And I know what you're thinking. Everybody chose one headline over the other. But I want to make sure you guys really want to hear the story you want to hear. So, headline number 1 was, drunk Florida man abandons airboat in front of sheriff's substation. Quote, he made some very poor decisions. That's headline 1 if you want to hear that story. Headline 2, which I'll tell you right now, has gotten most of the votes, but I just want to make sure you're right. You know what you want to do. Headline number 2, embattled Penn State professor engaged in lewd acts with tree branch and Tootsie Pop in public, say police. I just want to make sure, we'll play Oasis, we'll do Gil with his headlines here. I want to make sure you want to hear that story. You choose. Text in headline number 1 or headline number 2. Here's Gil Curtis.
This is not headline news. Today is Valentine's Day. The most popular gifts for women are flowers, chocolates, and jewelry. The most popular gifts for men are sex, sex, and sex. Motley Crue will play the Minnesota State Fair this summer, if they can pull Vince Neil away from the funnel cake stand. The fossils of a 65-million-year-old shark were found in Alabama, and like many in Alabama, it had no teeth. Taylor Swift's concert film is coming to Disney Plus, so if you haven't seen it, what does she have to do to get money out of your hand? And Beyoncé has recorded a country album. It's a follow-up to Lemonade. It'll be called Moonshine. This is not headline news.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
That is Oasis, nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We'll see if they end up getting in. It's 7:53. So coming up here at 8, so about 6.5 minutes away, your chance at Pearl Jam tickets. First person into Wrigley Field. Free tickets for Pearl Jam at Wrigley. First time in almost 6 years. Brian and Kenzie here on Q101 have them for you all week, and we'll have them here in about 6 minutes. Stay here. Now, head to headlines. I just want to make sure you want to hear the right story. You guys decide what we talk about. It's called Head to Headlines. We give you 2 headlines, and you choose. Headline number 1 was, drunk Florida man abandons airboat in front of sheriff's substation. He made some very poor decisions. Reminds me of money, but he chose poorly.
Yeah.
And headline number 2, which was winning, but I just wanted to make sure you really wanted to hear this headline, because I'm not sure I want to. The rest of the story. Embattled Penn State professor engaged in lewd acts with tree branch and Tootsie Pop in public park, said police. This may have been the most text for a story in history.
And the great thing is, the last text that we got is somebody just saying, number 2, please. They said, please, they want to hear this story so bad.
Well,
nobody says please anymore.
Sir or madam on Valentine's Day, and this story has a Valentine's Day twist to it, showing how desperate some men are out there, that we're going to do it. Headline number 2 wins, so here we go. Embattled Penn State professor engaged in lewd acts with tree branch and Tootsie Pop in public park. An award-winning professor at Penn State University.
I wonder what award he won.
His name is Themis Matsoukis, a good Greek guy. Good Greek man there.
Salt of the earth kind of guy.
Well, I shouldn't say good. He's a Greek man. He is a professor of chemical engineering.
Wow.
He has been charged with indecent exposure, criminal trespassing, disorderly conduct, said court records in this county. So the latest allegations come. He already had some charges against him, by the way, for these same charges.
For public indecency?
For public indecency, for lewd exposure, indecent exposure, lewd acts in public. So he already had that. And
He got a reputation in these parts of town.
he must be a really good chemical engineer.
I was just going to say, you must be a great professor.
I don't know if they're in high demand, because I've heard like plumbers and welders are in high demand and they're getting a lot more money than they ever have in their history. I don't know if chemical engineering professors are in high demand.
I don't know.
Well, must be because he has a lot of this. So the new charges are the result of investigators poring over hours of videos from numerous electronic devices
Oh, boy.
seized by authorities following his initial arrest, which put him on their radar. I'm going to get to it a little later on what those devices were and how they caught him in the park doing these things, because I'm going to follow the order of the story.
Okay.
It's a little later. So you have to stay here to see how they caught him with what electronic devices. I'm just giving you a little tease there. The videos show Matsoukas wearing a black ski mask and nothing else.
Oh, boy.
As he stood atop a pavilion in the park and engaged in a sexual act with a tree branch.
Oh, my God. That poor tree.
Now, I want you to picture.
Yeah, I owe you to picture this. Is that what you were going to say?
He's a good-looking Greek man. I'd say probably 68 years old.
Wow.
Are you looking at the picture with the mask and nothing else?
No, I'm looking at his.
Okay.
I'm looking
Brian
like
likes what he sees.
I'm looking
Yeah.
at like his LinkedIn picture, and he's very attractive. He has dark, bushy eyebrows, gray hair receding.
That doesn't sound good.
A nice.
You're not making something hot.
Hey, you're divorced, man. Take what you can get here. Matsoukas might be your guy, Kara.
Oh, boy. I do like Tootsie Pops.
Okay, investigators obtained video footage from trail cameras throughout the park, some of which showed him engaging in sexual acts while inside of equipment belonging to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources.
Ew.
So I don't know if that means he got into like a forklift or something and started rubbing on the steering wheel. Like,
He started rubbing on the steering.
can you imagine this report comes out and you're the guy that runs that equipment and you find out this is what was going on in your thing?
steering wheel got
Especially if you
humped.
find out after you got in
Yes.
the equipment. Oh, God.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just thinking about somebody going at it with a steering wheel now.
I want you to think about this on Valentine's Day, and some people out there are lonely. And
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's not.
there's nothing wrong with being alone. I had many Valentine's Day
I
alone.
love being alone.
Yeah. Especially when you hear about this guy.
Exactly.
This should make you feel better about yourself.
Yes.
Whatever you're doing, you're fine.
You're not a steering wheel humper.
No, you're not.
You won. That's half the battle.
You're not. You're not. You also, I just pictured a black ski mask and nothing else.
Yeah.
I can't get that out of my head.
Me either.
It might ruin everybody's Valentine's Day. I told you guys you might not want to hear this story.
I wondered if he was wearing socks too.
Would they be like athletic socks with like red stripes or just black socks?
No, it'd be, well, he's not. No, he's not in the Fab Five. He's definitely wearing white socks.
Another video showed Matsoukas on top of a picnic table as he performed a sex act involving some flowers.
Some flowers?
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing with them.
Yeah. The
draw you a
stories are
picture.
making me have more questions than answers.
It really does. That happens here, Kara, with the story thing sometimes. And Case does a good job of following up. And sometimes we don't get follow-ups. We try to follow up with these stories.
Unfortunately, I reach out to a lot of local journalists about stuff like this, and they very rarely want to discuss the story further.
Oh, I can't imagine someone not wanting to talk about this one.
Right. So I'm going to get to the part of what the cameras were for, what caught him doing all this. Just give me one more second, because it says, following an initial arrest last year, a Penn State spokesman told Law and Crime that Matsoukas had been, quote, relieved of his responsibilities and is on leave.
Okay.
So now he's finally gone after all of this. He was on the radar a little bit. Here's the kicker.
Kind of a wanted man.
Yeah. Not wanted enough.
Yeah,
He's humping-
exactly.
He's humping steering wheels.
Yeah.
Okay, here's how he got caught. Okay, the allegations in the case stem from a trail camera being put up in Allen Seeger Park in April in response to bags of hand sanitizer being stolen from public bathrooms. So those cameras caught him because they were worried about the stupid hand sanitizer.
You probably
getting
stole that
stolen.
too.
Holy crap. If people hadn't stolen the hand sanitizer, he'd still have his
He'd still be
job.
on the loose.
He'd still be teaching.
He'd be humping steering wheels.
That's right.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Again, congratulations to Luke, who took home the first Pearl Jam free tickets from Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
So jealous.
Yeah, big fan too, man. Told a great story of music in Chicago history. Luke did. Wonderful guy. And the Dark Matter World Tour, Wrigley Field, Thursday, August 29th and Friday, August 31st. Again, can't make it more clear that to get tickets, and listen, win all week, we have these at 8 o'clock, but to register for the Ticketmaster Verified Fan on sale, register open now till midnight Sunday, and that's the only way to buy tickets. It doesn't guarantee you're going to get a ticket, but it's the only way to buy them and try. So do that right now. The link's at Q101.com.
Yeah, you get to pick 3 choices because I did that.
What do you mean 3
So
choices?
You pick the first show you want to go to, second show you'd like to, and third. I couldn't figure out the third because the third's out of state.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know.
This happened with when the Cure played the United
Yeah.
Center. This happened when the Cure played the United Center last summer. Was I registered for tickets in Chicago and Detroit and Milwaukee
Yeah.
or wherever they played because I was like, well, I'm gonna drive to see the Cure.
Right.
Yeah, Milwaukee's a nice little drive.
And then,
that's not
I
bad.
got tickets to the United Center and I said, not my problem anymore.
Said, suck it, Milwaukee.
I said, suck it, Milwaukee. That's a quote from Case Lowe.
That's right. Listen, we just did head the headlines too, by the way. And also remind you, at 9, we have another chance at Killers in Vegas. That's GTFO. I know we're throwing a lot out there, but we have a lot. So just kind of pay attention. Just be here at 9 o'clock. It's easy to say that. If you want to go to Vegas and see the Killers, great chance to add in a $100 Visa gift card. So a few minutes before those Pearl Jam tickets, we talked in Head the Headlines about this headline. And remember, people are saying, well, can you read the other story too? Well, that's the thing with Head the Headlines. We read the one story and we never talk about the other one again, about the guy with the boat in Florida.
It's forbidden.
It's forbidden. That's the rule. That's why you got to choose one story. And you chose the right one because embattled Penn State professor.
Yeah, I think so.
The embattled Penn State professor who engaged in lewd acts with a tree branch and a Tootsie Pop in a public park. Now, to go back to the podcast, you can listen to it because we're not going to redo it again right now. But a lot of people, including Kara, chiming in and saying, does that make you think differently about the Tootsie Roll commercial?
And I think when you play this audio, Brian, instead of imagining the cute owl that is normally in these commercials, you have to think of a naked Greek man in a ski mask.
Yes.
Mr. Cow. How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I don't know. I always end up biting. Ask Mr. Fox, for he's much cleverer than I.
Mr. Fox, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Why don't you ask Mr. Turtle, for he's been around a lot longer than I. Me? I bite.
Mr. Turtle, how many...
That sounded like he would be. Oh, my God. Okay, let's keep going.
licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I never made it without biting. Ask Mr. Owl, for he is the wisest of us all.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
A good question. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3.
If there's anything I can't stand, it's a smart owl.
How many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
Now, did you picture the naked Greek guy with the ski mask on because the owl's a professor and he's a professor?
That's all I could think of.
Ooh.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.